World of Tanks Artillery Sound Detection. Sound detection is a new perk or skill that's available on any tank in World of Tanks that gives you an alert if there's incoming SPG fire. I actually suggested this skill, 5, 6, 7 years ago. It took them a long time to implement it. What it does is when you have it, you'll see a yellowish marking, and it will point at the direction that the fire is coming from, and you'll get to estimate approximately how much time. And of course, it also depends on how far away you are from the artillery and how fast the shell is. I played for more than 10 years without this skill on all of my tanks, and I didn't have any problems, and I didn't complain. A lot of people complained that they didn't have it. They finally have it. You can live without this if you learn how to play. However, it can also help you protect yourself from some damage. You want to use this anytime you have a vehicle that doesn't move, because if you don't move, you're going to be a prime target for SPG. If you're driving around quickly like a light tank, you don't need this so much because SPG is not going to fire at you. Number two, if you have a big tank like a Mouse or a Type 5 Heavy, you're going to be a big target. SPGs love to fire at them. They're easy to spot, they're slow, and easy to hit. So you're going to get fired at a lot, and it's hard to hide those vehicles. So those vehicles need them. If you are a tank destroyer and you stay parked out in the distance and you fire and you get spotted and you're slow, the SPG might fire at you. Medium tanks not so much because they move around a lot. Heavy tanks tend to group together at a choke point, and the SPGs fire at the choke point, and they try to hit everybody. With a light tank, SPG might know that you're probably in a bush, and they might blind fire the bush. The same with tank destroyers. For example, on Cliff, I blind fire the bushes all the time because there's always tanks in those bushes. When you play SPG, you're going to want to have sound detection because some SPG players try to shoot at other SPG players. It used to be a really good idea and it used to be really effective, but it isn't anymore. It's a waste of time for one SPG to try to attack another SPG, and the reason why is because there's more important vehicles in the game that are worth more hit points and are easier to hit. They've made it a little bit harder to find SPGs, etc. So it's going to give you the notice if it's coming directly from the top middle of the screen, then that means it's coming from directly in front of you. So if you go forward or backwards, you're not evading the incoming fire. Same if the triangle, the indicator, is coming from the bottom pointing towards the center. If it's coming from the left pointing to the center or the right pointing to the center, that means if you drive forward or reverse, you're more likely to evade the shot. So when you see the indicator, you want to rotate the tank so that the indicator is coming perpendicular from the left of the screen or the right of the screen, and then move forward if you can, because you'll get out of there faster. If it's coming from the top or bottom of the screen, I also recommend usually going forward because you'll get out of there faster. But obviously, in general, you can't do that. In general, for safety, you go backwards. So it's something you're going to have to make the call while you're in battle. The other trick you can use you see that your vehicle has armor on it. I will use this as an example. This vehicle has some armor, in this case spaced armor. If the shot is coming in, let's say it's coming in directly from the top where it says battle, you want to rotate your armor and point the corner towards incoming fire. And the reason why is because you're more likely to bounce it off the side of your turret, off the side of the tank, or off the front. You're giving it an angle. Basically, you're angling against incoming SPG fire. So that's one of the techniques you can use when you play SPG or any vehicle and you know that there's incoming SPG fire. I'm going to use the example with a heavy tank. If I were playing this and the SPG were directly in front of me and the shots coming in, you would see me play, you'd see me rotate and point the corner of my vehicle towards the incoming SPG fire again, so you can ricochet off the side of the turret, give an angle on the front, gives it a worse penetration angle. You've got all this spaced armor. In fact, you might even want to rotate even further if you've got spaced armor, because the SPG might bounce. I'm sorry, not bounce, but be unable to penetrate spaced armor. There's a vehicle called the Super Conqueror, which is here. And you'll see it's got spaced armor on that turret. And guess what's going to happen if you fire at this with an SPG? You're not going to do any damage, because you're probably firing high explosive rounds, and it won't penetrate spaced armor, even if it's thin spaced armor. So be aware of that when you are playing SPG. So he might not need the sound detection so much, because he's actually protected against SPG fire, especially if he's hull down. Okay, so that's a little bit about the SPG and its crew skills. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.